Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live with our host, Ned Denison.
Hello, everyone. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We have a special guest with us today, honoree Sarah Thomas. Sarah, please say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm back.
This is the time of year where we get to make some announcements. We have inductees to the Hall of Fame. We had Sarah inducted a couple of years ago, and we also have 3 awards that are presented. The first has already been announced, the Dale Petronich Award to Commander Forsberg. Today we're announcing the second of those awards. Oh, apologies, we announced the second, which was Colin Hill for the Davids Wheeler Award. So this is the third award that's being announced, and it's for the Poseidon Award. So congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
For people who aren't, For people who aren't aware, this is an award from the International Swimming Hall of Fame, our parent organization, and it's presented annually to the organization or individual for high-level achievement from personal effort or initiative in a field or endeavor that contributes to the performance of marathon swimmers or in the development and status of marathon swimming to the world. I want to give everybody just a quick highlight of the citation. Sarah Thomas in 2019 was the first swimmer ever to complete a 4-way English Channel swim. That's 132 kilometers in 54 hours and 10 minutes with little short turnarounds. Additionally, she's completed 2 other long swims, Lake Champlain, 168.3 kilometers in 67 hours and 16 minutes. And in 2017, Lake Powell, 80 miles in 56 hours and 5 minutes. The trio of swims are the top 3 longest current neutral swims recorded in history, although people are pushing at that as we speak. In 2017, Sarah was diagnosed with breast cancer, for which she underwent aggressive treatment of chemo, surgery, and radiation. 6 months later, she completed the cancer treatment, and then 6 months after that, the epic Cook Strait swim in New Zealand. 6 months after that, the 4-way English Channel swim. Her courageous comeback has been an inspiration for many, and she's generated fantastic media coverage for our sport, from ESPN to Sports Illustrated, Good Morning Britain. And then in her spare time, she's also a race director for a unique Cliff Backyard Ultramarathon swim right there where she lives. So Sarah, quite an impressive resume. What I'd like you to do is talk to us about those 3 long swims plus Cook Strait. Tell us about the challenges of each, and then try to rank them for physical and then mental difficulty. 2 before cancer and 2 after. So that'd be quite a trick for you.
Yeah, that's a lot right there to unpack. Let's see here. So I guess I always like to work chronologically. So, Lake Powell was the first really big, like super long swim that I attempted back in 2016. I had come off in 2013. I had done a double Lake Tahoe and then a double Lake Memphre. And then I planned for a really long swim in 14. That didn't happen. And then in 15, I was occupied with swimming Loch Ness. And so by the time 2016 came around, I was like really itching to see how far I could swim. Lake Powell's only about a 7-8 hour drive from my house. And so it was really logical just to pack up the trucks and haul all of the stuff that we needed and rent a houseboat and see how far we could swim across Lake Powell. That was probably the most terrifying swim that I've ever started. I remember at the beginning standing there thinking like, what the heck am I doing? And it really took a lot of team effort to get me through that swim. I hit about the 30-hour mark. I'm just a little bit past halfway and like had this like epic meltdown of like, I've swum too far, I'm done, I'm getting out. And my crew was like the real hero there and didn't let me quit, gave me some.
Did they drive the boat away from you?
Like,
did they drive the boat away from you?
Well, my sister had been in the kayak next to me, and she's been on like so many training swims with me, and so I'm like, Melody, I'm done. I took my goggles off, and she's like, about just another 30 minutes, okay? And I'll get Ryan out here for you. And so she, you know, paddles back to the main houseboat, and then I see my husband coming out, right? And I'm like, uh-oh, he's either gonna yell at me or be really nice. I like had this like 20 minutes of fear of like, am I gonna get yelled at? Is he gonna tell me I'm not being tough enough? What's gonna happen here? But he was actually pretty nice, but they did keep the main houseboat pretty far away from me, and just had like one person dealing with me, which was probably really smart. But when I finished that swim, you know, I had like my third or fourth wind by the end of it. And it came out, you know, there's videos of me doing a little hop with my arms in the air. And we hadn't even made it home by the time Ryan and I were talking about doing 100 miles. And so it was like almost an immediate transition from Lake Powell to planning for Lake Champlain. And so we did at Lake Champlain, it was like 10 months later, not even a full year. We went up to New York and, you know, did an out and back around an island loop in Lake Champlain. Longer, you know, it took 67 hours. I think I was probably awake for a full 72 hours during that swim. I could barely move. You know, they put a pace swimmer in with me towards the end of that one. And I was like happy plodding along, and they put a pace swimmer in, which I normally love. And I was like, you got to get out. You're like messing with me, because I was trying to like keep up, and I could like barely move my arms any faster. And so when I came out of that swim, we definitely felt like we had maybe hit a limit as to how long I could be in the water, because that was there. I couldn't swim much further after that one, that's for sure. And then it wasn't very long after that, but I got diagnosed with cancer. And so obviously I spent all of like 2018 going through cancer treatment, pestering my doctors, like, am I going to be able to swim again? I've got this Cook Strait swim in February or March. Am I going to be ready for this? You know, I'm swimming this English Channel 4-way, and, you know, your doctors are like, what the heck? You have cancer. Like, let's talk about chemo. And I'm already, you know, 18 months down the road thinking about an English Channel 4-way. So, you know, I went through treatment. We definitely planned a lot of treatment decisions around that upcoming Cook Strait swim. I delayed a final phase of treatment and surgery until after the English Channel swim. So I did, this won't mean anything to anyone other than someone, if you know someone who's had breast cancer, but I had a tissue expander in instead of a real implant, which is like this really hard temporary implant that they take out after radiation, because radiation constricts things and all this long stuff. But I did my Cook Strait and my English Channel with that expander in. And you tell that to someone who has had one, and they're like, holy cow, I don't even know how you moved. But we made so many decisions during 2018 based off of swimming. I'm really lucky. I had doctors that, while they thought I was insane, were supportive of my goals. Training for the Cook Strait swim was probably the hardest training that I've ever had to do, because I really was starting from scratch. You know, I swam a decent amount during my treatment, but your body just gets so weak, and, you know, it moves differently, you know, just everything changed. And it was hard, especially the first 3 months. I finished treatment in September. October, November, December was like epically hard to get through. And, you know, I went into the Cook Strait swim knowing that I wasn't 100%, not even close, but I needed to do it. You know, I needed to know if I still had the mental edge, if I could push through.
Were you
just really had to.
Were you more mentally nervous before?
More than anything.
Were you more mentally nervous before Cook or Lake Powell?
So I would say, like, leading up to it, I was, out of all of the swims I've ever done, I was most nervous before Lake Powell. Catalina is a very close second. Catalina was my very first swim. But Lake Powell was definitely the most nervous that I've ever been before a swim. In the middle of the swim, like completing it, Cook Strait took a lot out of me. You know, like Lake Powell, I had my meltdown. You know, I spent a long time like really struggling and like questioning what I was doing. But, you know, Cook Strait is shorter. You know, it was, I don't know, it took me like 15 hours, but I was expecting 9. You know, and so somewhere in the middle of that, you're thinking, what the heck am I doing? This is supposed to be a short, fun swim. I'm in terrible conditions. Like, I'm supposed to go to the English Channel in 6 months. Like, I don't know if I still have that mental edge. There was a huge battle in Cook Strait to not quit. I threw up for the first time ever in the Cook Strait. I swallowed a lot of seawater and I like vomited my brains out in the middle of it. I felt much better afterwards, but it was just one of those swims that was hard. I remember in the middle of it, at one point, Philip Rush said something to me about how I didn't seem very happy. And I was like, no, I'm really miserable right now because it was cold and, you know, the conditions were just awful. You know, there's another swimmer that went out that day. She quit at about 12 hours. Both of us were expecting to be, you know, under 10 hours. And we're just out there battling this ocean and wind. And it was just, Cook Strait was definitely one of the hardest swims I've ever done. Finished in the dead of night, touched a rock, you know, Philip Rush and Ryan hauled me back into the rib. And I just remember like flopping into the rib like a dead fish and just laughing. And I said, well, that wasn't what we expected to happen, was it? You know, so it was fine. And I was glad that we finished it, but holy cow, Cook Strait was hard. You know, people look at it as one of the Ocean 7 swims that might be shorter or counted as easier, but I'm here to tell you, Cook Strait can be awful if you don't get ideal conditions. But it was perfect. It was the swim that I needed to prepare me for the English Channel. It got me back in the mindset of, you know, believing in myself and knowing that I could withstand really cold temperatures and push through really adverse conditions. So when I got to the English Channel, you know, I wasn't hardly nervous for that at all. I was really confident that as long as the weather held, we were going to make it. I had complete faith in Eddie and, you know, walked into that swim way more relaxed than Cook Strait, way more relaxed than Lake Powell for sure. So you asked me to rank the hardest ones. Lake Champlain, head and shoulders, hardest swim I've ever done in my whole life physically. I was shot after that swim. If you want to go Google, you can find some stuff I've written about how I passed out in the bathtub after the end of Lake Champlain. So a little bit scary there, but my body was completely 100% finished after Champlain.
Is this freshwater versus salt?
I do think so. You know, even comparing, so English Channel Four-Way and Lake Powell were similar in time. And just physically, the recovery after the English Channel swim was easier. I had a lot less pain. You know, they asked me to sprint at the very end of that English Channel swim, and I still had gas in the tank to sprint. And I wasn't exactly sprinting at the end of Lake Powell. So, you know, I think there's something to be said for fresh water giving you that little extra buoyancy.
Thank you for that. That's an interesting take on it. We had some trouble, Sarah, organizing this interview because you're still working full time, and you had these sort of 3-hour swim training sessions for us to work around. Can I take it you're not done?
I'm never going to be done, Ned. I'll be 90 years and still trying to do something. So definitely still have some swim goals. Nothing is planned. I know everyone wants to know what's next. We've got a few things that I'm contemplating. It really depends on what COVID does. So I've got some ideas, probably some saltwater stuff coming up, but we will just see what happens. But at the end of the day, I don't think you'll ever get I'm going to retire announcement out of me. I might just get slower and shorter, but I'll still be out there doing it, promise.
Sarah, thank you very much, and congratulations on yet another accolade in the sport.
Thank you, Ned. I appreciate it.